Hopefully there's no teeth in here.
This kind of thing. Whoa!
Somebody's drove this car really hard.
Yo, what's happening everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing very well. I don't even think I can apologize at this point because you know what? I've not been on my YouTube channel in 2 months. I can't believe that's the last time I released a video, but you know what? So much has been happening. So I just got a new job and I'm kind of just settling in. 2, I'm actually now preparing to actually move house, which I need to keep kind of quiet, but yeah, I'm going to be moving this year. 3, the weather's not been great, so I've not really had a lot of time to kind of work on the car. But without rambling on too much, I wanted to give you a quick update as to what's going on with the TTRS. So let's do that. Let me tell you where we're at, and we are going to get straight into the video of trying to figure out how we move forward and get the TTRS class complete, however you want to refer to it as. Now, the first big change that you're going to be able to spot are the wheels, because I absolutely love Aussie racing wheels, particularly the Super Turismo LMs. I was like, you know what, I need to get them on this car. Now, the previous setup was 20 inch, so I've actually gone down, so I've gone 19 inch. These are 9.5J ET40, so it's like perfect in terms of like the aggressive kind of fitment that I'm looking for. It does need to be lowered, but as you can see, my driveway is not the best, and until I move, I'm not going to put on coilovers. And you should also be able to see some new brakes. Now, I installed these new brakes, so these are from DBA. They're 2-piece floating disc rotors. I've got the DBA pads as well. They're amazing. Tyre-wise, I went for Sport Contact 7s. Now, the same wheels and tyres are on my S3. The only difference is size. Apart from that, not much has changed. Now, I do still have a lot to do. Here are the issues that I'm currently experiencing with the TTRS. Number 1, I've got this really peculiar humming, grinding, weird noise. I've had the full kind of drivetrain transmission checked over and serviced. I just cannot establish what this sound is. Somebody told me it was the passenger side wheel bearing. I changed that. However, after watching a couple more videos and doing a bit more research, apparently physics, or the law of physics, suggests that if you're experiencing the sound on the left, then it's actually the right wheel bearing. So I might have changed the wrong wheel bearing. So that's the first issue. Now, my biggest worry was transfer box, so that front diff. I'm going to basically include some footage when I drove down to Derby or Nottingham to see TG Automotive, where they basically diagnosed or tried to help me diagnose whether my transfer box was the issue. So let's get straight into it, and hopefully I can get back onto YouTube and start releasing some more videos until we get the TTRS done, because I want it to be done for the summer, because I really want to drive to Italy. So let's see how it all goes. As you can see, I'm in the TTRS and I've got a very dreadful drive to TG Automotive, and the reason I'm going to TG Automotive in Nottingham is because I suspect stability that my transfer box is broken, and that's the reason for the humming and whining. And I'm going to be also showing you and demonstrating what the humming and whining that I'm referring to is. But I thought I'd also give you a bit of a breakdown as to how I think the day is going to go. There's a couple of options, right? Best case scenario, it's not the transfer box. Another scenario is that it is a transfer box, but it can be repaired, so I get charged $699 plus VAT. The other option is the transfer box can't be repaired. I have to basically opt in to get a new transfer box, and even that then splits out into different options. I can get my own transfer box, get them to fit it, or get anybody to fit it. You're looking at around £1,000 to £2,000 second hand, genuine, or I can get one from Audi, which I think you're talking about £6,000, £5,000 to £6,000. That's brand new. Or you can get one from TG Automotive, and other organisations like Gearlab do them as well. So already rebuilt boxes, so essentially boxes which are stronger, and they're around £2,700. I'm hoping for the best case scenario, which is my box can be, if it is that, it can be fixed, and it's $699. So one of the things I've noticed is it starts at around 40 miles per hour, so hopefully I'll get some footage of me going around that speed. And I'm so happy that I've got such a supportive wife. So Alicia has come with me just to ensure that everything's okay. Good. I'm going to get to 40 and you'll hear it. You can feel it through the centre console. So I've got the opportunity to RS tax is real, man. Do you know what it is? It's just, I don't even know if it's RX tax. I think it's just sometimes when you get like expensive cars, things are just expensive to replace, simple as, really. So I finally arrived at TG Automotive. Basically greeted by Sam at the reception, and basically the first step is taking it out for a test drive. I will say, and one of the things I'm going to mention to Sam is, when driving it this morning, I feel like now it's, I don't know if it is a transfer box issue, because now I feel like it doesn't sound like the guy's video that I saw on Facebook that he uploaded. Because basically they're going to get it up. We've been for a test drive. There is evidently an issue. So we're hoping to figure out what that issue is going to be. I really am hoping it's not serious. But so far, these guys have been really nice. This is the first time I've ever seen Nebula up in the ramp like this. Well, up in the air.
Have you had the stuff put down?
No.
Not moved it?
No.
It's been moved.
Has it?
Look at the side of the subframe there, you can see it.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely not done that. I mean, could it have moved during it when it got hit?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay. Because it did get hit at the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely no one's had it.
Put this on the track, haven't it?
You definitely think it's a transfer box, by the way. That wheel's wobbling like, but I might tell him that. Now what's coming up isn't my transfer box, I just want to make that very clear, but Andy's now going to show you an example of a transfer box that he's taken apart and he couldn't sadly save. The main thing is when the gear or the pinion is damaged, basically there's no way to fix that transfer box. You have to opt in for a new transfer box, and that's exactly what he's going to show you. He's going to show you what that damage will look like.
As the bearings failed,
Yep,
somebody's drove this car really hard,
sure.
and obviously the gears are just.
Is this the
meshing.
crown that people refer to?
Pinion?
Pinion, okay.
Yeah. Obviously the pinions damaged the teeth because the movement in that bearing
Sure.
has just chipped the teeth.
And am I right in thinking if this is damaged, it's a no-go, it can't be
that's
rebuilt
it, yeah.
ultimately? Okay. Wow. Mad, isn't it? Wow. Crazy. And so here we go, we're going to drop the oil to get one step closer to establishing whether it can be rebuilt or whether I'm basically screwed.
If it's smooth, it's bearing. It's flakes of case hardening from the bearing.
Okay.
If it's lumpy, then it's the gear, but there's no lumps in there.
Okay. Why did Audi build them so bad? Is it just a design? Well, actually, is it because people drive them like nutters as well? Like
It's
that?
not that. I mean, the design of it with a tapered bearing on a lot of load is not ideal.
Yeah.
You need obviously a flat roller bearing rather than a tapered roller bearing.
If you were to drive normally, let's just say you basically occasionally put your foot down, blah blah blah, you don't really tune this car, whatever, is it still likely to happen? Or is it?
They do still fail,
Yeah.
but not as often.
Not as often, yeah. Yeah, that looks quite smooth as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's nothing. I think that's quite good to rebuild.
Got the colour Daytona grey.
Yeah, like a car painting that.
Yeah, wow. That is crazy. Moment of truth. Pray for me, please.
See the movement?
Yeah,
not massive.
Yeah, not massive, yeah.
I'm just going.
I need to get one of these stubby guns, man. They're so good. Feels like I'm at the doctor's.
Hopefully there's no teeth in here.
Oh.
We're all good.
Oh.
Started.
Yeah, I can see.
Peening that edge over.
Yeah, I
can
can
see that there,
yeah.
that sharp bit.
It's always the bit where everybody holds the breath.
Oh my god. That one's just been... looks like a crisp.
Yeah,
Like a ridged crisp kind of thing. Whoa!
All the bearing. All the metal.
Oh, and that's what you were saying, smooth.
Yeah.
Whereas that'd be clunky, of course, yeah. Whoa. Currently in Costa Coffee with Alicia. Alicia drove down with me again. I've got the best wife in the world, trust me. But what I've opted in for, and I should have really documented this, and I thought these servicing things are not something I really need to document because, yeah, it's just servicing, right? But what I've opted in for is a rear diff service, Haldex service, DSG service, and obviously my gearbox being rebuilt. All in all, that's £1,284, including that. One of the benefits of having a car on a ramp is obviously they're able to see the wheels run. One, obviously the transfer box obviously was a little bit noisy, not as bad as some other people who have been this week apparently, but the passenger right wheel is definitely buckled still, even though I got a refurb and it shouldn't be. He also said that the sump is leaking slightly, it just needs to be resealed. He also said that the casing on the side of the transmission, I think, needs replacing. I think the water pump's seeping a bit, but we'll see how it goes. The main thing is that I've avoided a big cost here. It was going to be $699 plus VAT. I've opted in for the other servicing bits just to get them out of the way. So one of the things he showed me was on the bearing, like half of it was scored. And he goes, and I was like, oh, is it because oil doesn't reach that part, so it's like oil starvation in theory. He believes that when the cars are basically just sat there parked for ages, that that's what happens. They corrode, moisture gets in or something, and it just basically corrodes. So it's important to drive your car, but it's just as important to service it regularly. So yeah, we're going to go collect it at 5 p.m, well 4:35, and yeah, hopefully it's much better. Obviously the alignment, the toe is massively out. It'll be interesting to see when I get it back. But yeah, happy days. I've avoided a big cost because literally if this had gone, if the transfer box was screwed, I would have had to pay minimum £2,000 minimum. Yeah.
And then that's the crown.
Okay.
And
Yeah, wow.
obviously they're the ones that's the failure.
Yeah, I can see him obviously all around. Yeah. Wow. And which was the oil, sorry, again? So that one was...
That's rear diff.
Yeah.
That is Audi X.
Yeah.
And then that is your transfer box.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
That's your transfer box. That was really metallic.
Yeah, I remember.
This is all the metal at your transfer box.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Flipping it.
And then Audi X, you should have, I think there was a few lumps in the bottom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I can see. Yeah, of course.
Sam's got the photo of the gauze.
Oh, okay.
That's quite clean to be fair, the rear diff.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say that is pretty relatively clean, yeah. Wow, so there we go, guys. All complete. So rear diff, Audi X, DSG, and obviously my transfer box all finished. And yeah, so what I'm planning on doing is maybe getting the sump seal and also the cover. What was it for again, Andy?
The crank seal, the side case.
That's it, yeah. So I'm going to both basically do them on the next service.
That's your crank seal. That's built into the side case.
Yeah. So essentially, it's worth doing them basically when I get my next service. Yeah.
Because to stop these leaks, there's one obviously from the side dripping down onto the boost pipe, and then the sump across the back.
All at the back, yeah. And then obviously you said the water pump as well, which obviously we saw a little bit.
I mean obviously there's residue of coolant there, but I'm not sure whether it's been replaced or not. I don't think it has, because you can see the residue on the actual pump as well.
So, good news for my TTRS transfer box, right? And I wanted to kind of conclude this video with this, because I've got hindsight. And in hindsight, I don't think that the transfer box was the sole contributor to the experiences or the kind of issues that I was experiencing, or that I am currently still experiencing. And that's fact, right? Because the transfer box has been replaced, Audi X has been serviced, the rear diff's been serviced, so much has been done, and I'm still presented with the issue. I'm still experiencing this issue, this kind of winding, coming, kind of weird noise feeling, right? And it gets even more peculiar. Andy mentioned at the beginning of the video, well, he asked me, has your subframe been moved or have you moved it? And I said no. And I said that the most likely reason as to why the subframe has been moved is because it was hit. This car was factually involved in a front end collision. And with that, I'm assuming the impact may have pushed the subframe back. Now, bearing in mind, it wasn't massively moved. It was just like a little bit of kind of the original paintwork showing, which kind of indicated that it had been moved. And that was on the driver's side. I remember it was on the, yes, it was on the driver's side. He said, I will try straighten out your subframe. And he did, because he had to, I'm not sure if he had to remove it, but I'm pretty sure he did. But he pretty much straightened out my subframe, right? And when I left, I could literally just feel the car was driving a little bit straighter. And I will say, I'm not going to lie, I got up to like 70 miles per hour on the motorway on the drive home, and I literally could not, that kind of sound thing that I was experiencing had reduced massively. And this is the peculiar bit. I already knew that I was going to get this car aligned properly. I'll show you the kind of before and after of the alignment graph. But when I got the new wheels and tyres, I thought, perfect opportunity. I'll go get the car aligned now. They said that they think the car is on lowering springs because the camber was like, I think, again, I'll show you. I think it's like -2. I can't confirm that until I meddle with the suspension, because the thing is, normally you can tell with certain springs, like, I know IBAT do red springs, etc., but these springs are dirty, but also they're black, so it's kind of hard, right? When I drove away after it being aligned, I thought, oh my God, this is going to be perfect. Now the car will have no issues. And here's the peculiar bit. When I drove away when the car was aligned, so it was all straight on the graph, the initial noise prior to going to TG had come back. And that's the weird bit. Now the science and the math isn't working in my head. Why is that? Why, after the alignment and everything straight, would the initial noise that I was experiencing have come back? This is why I'm hoping it's nothing sinister and crazy. Plans going forward, the car is actually booked in, going to CM Tuning Chris. He's gonna have a look at it. It's a little bit easier for me to go to Chris's just because my parents don't live too far. So if I ever needed to kind of like, you know, arrange something, it's just really easy in terms of arranging stuff, right? And leaving the car there and kind of getting lifts back and whatnot. Yeah, that's one of the main reasons. But so whilst the car is there, I'm booked in for a full health check, but also the main thing is to get a diagnosis on what is going on. I'll get Chris to go out with me because I don't need to go fast for the problem to kind of present itself. It's at 38 miles per hour to be specific. And then I will just see what he says. I'm hoping again it's not a big issue, but yeah, that's where we're at. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was useful, helpful. And if your transfer box happens to be the sole culprit for the problems you're experiencing with your car, then hopefully this video would have helped in terms of pricing, what the day is going to pan out to look like and whatnot. But yeah, listen, I'm going to try to get back on the ball with YouTube, start releasing more videos. Once I'm at Chris's, I'm going to try film as much as I can. And yeah, listen, till next time, take it easy, peace.